Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing tonight? Welcome to the MH370x stream, guys. So, first thing, right off the bat, just want to say hello to some people. Alien Girl, Sue, Kathy, my channel, Rip Zip, Cosmic, Alex. Hey, look, Bernie's there. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys a lot. I am trying to increase the production value of my streams in the sense that I don't want to just be doing random stuff with you guys on stream. I want to kind of keep it kind of focused, especially so if people are watching these afterwards that they don't have to sit through too much downtime. They can really get to the good content, watch the investigation unfold. Okay, now that we've said that, I want to throw a little shout out to Alien Girl out there. Alien Girl has been, in this UFO community for a long time. She's been putting the work in. She's got her own stream. I've been seeing her on Twitter, posting her stuff. So if you guys want to follow somebody, follow Alien Girl. Don't get parasocial with it. I know how you guys get with these, with women online. So let's not do that, guys. Let's just be normal people. Okay, now that we've addressed that. Hey, Ellie. Hey, Sandy. Hey, Langy. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. And so, what are we going to be going over today? First of all, I just want to do a little recap of some stuff that I posted on Twitter. So let me pull that up and let's get this show on the road. After we do the recap, then I'm going to we're going to read through very quickly. We're going to go in through some of the 911pilots.org stuff with the remote autopilot. Actually, I don't need this on, do I? And then after we get through the remote autopilot stuff, we're going to go through some science as well tonight. Okay? Probably, yeah, so we'll see. We're probably going to get ourselves copyright striked, but don't really care. It's worth it. I'm trying to get through this stuff here. Okay. So, first things first, I've only made a couple posts today. First thing, I posted this weird UFO video I'd never seen before. It's rare for me to not see a UFO video. Yeah, 10-year anniversary is coming up real quick, so hopefully we'll see. Some people may want to reach out, maybe not. Don't know. We'll see. We do have, I think there's a podcast coming up on Thursday, maybe another one on Friday. So we do have stuff going on, guys. I think there's a pretty big one on Thursday. Should be good. But I don't mind having a little bit of downtime to work on some of the other stuff that's out there. Hey, Cryptic Conversations. Welcome, buddy. And hey, Emily, I see you too. No, I haven't been contacted by Joe Rogan. It would be, of course, I'd be interested in doing Joe Rogan, guys. Of course, that's the dream. But I think the reality too is that we've got to start to realize that we've done some pretty huge shows, guys. So people out there are definitely familiar with us. If they're not talking to us, it's probably for a reason, and that's okay. Not really that big of a deal, I think that we can't be forcing the issue with people. What I would really like to do is to increase my podcast, production value, get them edited better, get some more like intros, stuff like that, better thumbnails, get them loaded onto Spotify so people can listen to them there. And then I would like to be interviewing more serious people who have either done the research out there themselves, have very interesting topics, or people who are like in Congress, right? I think that talking to people in Congress is really big, so I have reached out to some representatives and their staffs, and hopefully they will take us seriously. I think that we represent a younger blood and a little bit different take on the phenomenon and the topic in general. Whereas everybody else, all the UFO researchers out there are super into the aliens and the craft. Like, we're into the advanced science that's out there, right? And the conspiracy angle of it, of who's hiding this stuff from us. We know that we haven't been doing nothing for the last 80 years, you know? We've been doing stuff for the last 80 years. So, hold on. I just realized before I show this that I was, like, about to reveal my DMs. So let's see if we can avoid doing that. We'll do our best. Hey, Amanda, I see you too. See a lot of the frequent followers out there. Okay, full screen. Also, I was watching a pretty interesting podcast right now that was going over the manipulations in the UFO community and how these skeptics have been manipulating Wikipedia, which doesn't surprise me because Wikipedia is awful. But so we might be doing something on that a little later. So first thing you may notice is we got a little Skyfire logo up here. Ooh, Skyfire logo. That's because I support Skyfire News. I'm not ashamed to say it. I think that you guys know I'm, unlike the detractors and the haters out there that are all trying to keep their little clicks hidden, even though we can clearly see them retweeting one another and hating on people. I don't hide who I support. I keep it right out in the open. I'm a big fan of Keemstar, even though I know he's into the whole drama side of it. I want to try to bring the discourse in the UFO community up a notch. So that's the reason why I've aligned myself with Skyfire News, who's got Tupacabra and Red Panda. They've been putting out amazing content, guys. Amazing content. So this kind of skips ahead a little bit, but I want to take a look at that. So here's the post I just put out. I told you guys yesterday I was going to make a post like this talking about what kind of stuff I'm going to be posting on Twitter. I just felt like it might be important for people to understand where my mindset is in terms of the content I post on Twitter. So we're doing a real quick recap here, guys, and then we'll get into it. So, of course, most of the stuff's going to be related to MH370. These streams are all going to be related to MH370 unless you don't see the MH370x tag on the stream, okay? I will be talking about some other conspiracies, some of the ones that are out there that I want to post in the near future. I have two. One, I'm going to do a thing on the Chan Thomas. So I'm probably going to do a follow-up tonight as well about the Investigate Earth podcast I did. And when I do that, I don't know if it's going to be tonight, maybe tomorrow, but I'm going to post some of the evidence that I found around predicting of earthquakes and how the U.S. government is like actually monitoring the magnetosphere. So that's a pretty interesting topic, and it's funny because it links to that YouTube channel. I haven't looked at that YouTube channel in a few days, but it's kind of weird. They just went dark all of a sudden as well. Very odd stuff. In addition to that, I will be posting UFO videos and news occasionally, but only if it's something that I find pretty compelling or interesting. Sometimes it might be stuff that's silly, like Miami aliens. Other times it might be things that are a bit more serious. But I'm probably not going to be like the UFO news guy, right? That's for the Skyfire News. That's for all the other boring UFOologists that are out there that just retweet one another. At least Skyfire News packages it in a format that's easy to digest. And then, of course, I will potentially be doing some offbeat stuff, some of the joke stuff that I do about debunking and what have you, as well as some political content here and there, although it's not going to be a lot of political content. I mean, I'm just not really that invested in the political stuff. I am invested in some of the conspiracy stuff, which, of course, goes into the political stuff. But I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. No promises on that. Acronaut, hello. Acronaut says, real creepy story said that they'll be preparing something a little different in the next video. Take longer to publish. Interesting. I'm interested to see it. I'm also will probably be doing another follow-up on the real creepy story stuff. The more time has gone on, the more credible it's seemed. They haven't like tried to force the issue or anything. I've kind of ignored them for a while. And the Chan Thomas stuff was weird. And then somebody else tried to do a recreation. I'm going to show you guys that real quick. I want you guys to see this other recreation. Where is it? Here's another one. Okay. So I want you to see how bad a bad recreation is with using AI, guys. Because some people said they could make it in 5 minutes or whatever. Well, Listen to how awful and obvious a bad
Reality
recreation
intertwined
is.
with the mystical, the enigma of flight MH370's disappearance plunged the world into uncertainty. Ashton Forbes, a seasoned investigator with an affinity for the arcane, embarked on a quest to unravel
An affinity for the arcane. I can already tell within 10 seconds that this was written by an AI. Within 10 seconds, guys. I can already tell that this was written by an AI. So, and they use this background of my VFX comparison, which gives away the fact that this is probably some debunker person or something, right? So
the cosmic tapestry surrounding
the cosmic tapestry, you can really just tell right away that they fed some information into an AI and told an AI to tell them what to say, right? The AI voice is also terrible as well, right?
plane. Cities of sacred geometry. The Department of Defense and international agencies, alarmed by Ashton's pursuit, orchestrated psychological operations with
Like, this is just, it's awful. Like, this is honestly the best I can probably just stop right here, right? Like, when I heard this, I went, wow, this brings even more credibility to the other one. Because now I'm sure the other one wasn't created by AI.
social engineers to thwart his progress.
Social engineers.
These manipulative tactics sought to cloud Ashton's mind and sow discord among those aiding his quest.
No one talks like this.
Yet, undeterred, Ashton pressed on, deciphering the intricate torus shape formed by the orb's quantum dance.
The orb's quantum dance. It's like they had Grok on fun mode when they fed it the AI that's like what to say on this.
Led him to the enigmatic Nicobar Islands and the classified Diego Garcia base.
Okay, so that's enough of that. It's it's really bad. So it goes to show you how difficult it would be to make the letter to Ashton Forbes, where A, it doesn't have any obvious sign of being written by AI. Like that one is so obviously to be written by AI, right? There's nothing, yeah, like the word choices it uses, the way it phrases everything, like not even close. Not to mention the voice sounds terrible as well, right? So I don't know anymore, man. It's like, I go back to the video, I'm like, damn, that letter to Ashton Forbes is actually pretty damn compelling now. I listened to it a couple more times and I'm going, it's pretty weird, guys. And I think that also you've got the fact that the debunkers are trying to say that I made it. That's also a big red flag. Big red flag. To me, that says that they're scared about the letter too. That they think it's very credible too. Because then if they're saying that only I could make it, then and I didn't make it, then oh boy, then yeah, it must be pretty damn original. So okay, so content announcement. Again, the reason why I'm supporting Skyfire News here is A, they're my friends. There's some of the people like Red Panda and Tupacabra who have really helped give us a voice even early on in some of the spaces. Some of you guys probably don't even know this, but some of the Twitter spaces where I first started to get a hold in the UFO community was with those guys, and they were some of the nicest people ever. And the moment I promoted them at all, and I did like a co-host with Tupa, I had like 1 million people, like bots, like ragging on me. It was super weird. So anyway, make sure you give Skyfire News a follow, guys. They deserve it 100%. Let's build this channel up, and then we can have awesome content. Like they're putting together some pretty cool stuff out here that I think is, and like look how much stuff they're putting out. Huge amounts of content. Right? It definitely deserves more attention out there, especially compared to some of this other stuff that's out there, right? I will talk quickly about the bismuth in a second. Let me get through the rest of the things here. I'm going a little slow. I also put out the video that I made with the personal statement earlier this morning here as well. So I stole this from the letter to Ashton Forbes. You talk about them, right? Like if you think about it, that really stuck with me. How do you expose a government with nearly unlimited power and technology who has full control over the mainstream media? I didn't put mainstream in here because there's like a connotation of, conspiracy people when you talk about mainstream. But let's be honest, we're talking about mainstream media here, right? You talk about them. That's what you do. You talk about them. You talk about it. You make sure it's out there in the zeitgeist. That's why I mentioned we've already won in a sense, right? Because we've got it out there. When people talk about MH370, it gets awkward if they don't talk about the fact that we're sitting out here exposing these videos. Okay. Again, I also posted this UFO video. This is the one that I was showing before. I had never seen this. Apparently it goes back to 2008. It's surprising because in the last like 5 years, I feel like I've seen so many UFO videos, and somehow I hadn't seen this one. Now, why do I think this one's interesting? You see what it just did right there? It does this. It does some pretty anomalous moves. This is not a satellite. Oh, okay, no, that's not the right one. This one is just a camera moving. Sorry. There's one it does later on here though, where it seems to be moving pretty fast. Now, like here, I think is the one. Now, maybe it's hard to tell if it's just a camera moving or not. Like right there, maybe it's just a camera moving, and I'm just being silly. But anyway, I thought it was an interesting video to post, so posted it. Obviously didn't get much traction, but I don't really care. I'm not doing this for clout. Okay. So I haven't posted much today. I was pretty tired, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, make sure you catch the big pieces on the suspicious deaths of these seals. It's kind of interesting that they reported today these other seals died as well. Now, they're not connected, let's be honest, but I mean, it was 10 years ago this happened. But it surprises me. I don't think there was any ever investigation into the seals. So if you want to watch yesterday's stream, we went into that as well. Okay. The bismuth. I did take a first shot at the bismuth stuff. I went to my parents' place, used their fireplace, cooked the bismuth down a little bit. I forgot the plate. I left it there. So I think you guys were right. I am going to need a lighter magnet. I didn't realize how heavy these magnets are. They're really heavy. I'm going to need a lighter one, and I'm going to need thicker plates of bismuth probably, but we'll see. I took a first run at it. I made a plate that's like pretty thin, probably about the width of this phone, maybe a little bit less. And yeah, the story yesterday was sad and disturbing. And then I threw the magnet over it just to see if I felt anything, and I didn't really feel anything. So I have a feeling that it's going to have to be pretty thick, the bismuth, in order to make it levitate like that. And I think the magnet's going to have to be pretty small. So I may have to buy a new magnet. We'll see. But it was really cool and really fun. So when I melted the bismuth down, it was weird. Like, it wasn't even like water. It was almost like what I expect like a Bose-Einstein condensate to be like, where it first immediately like shrinks a little bit, and then it becomes just a straight up liquid. Where like even in the crucible where I'm rolling it around, like it doesn't get stuck to the wall or anything. Like it's just like a solid liquid, like a ferrofluid or something. It was really cool. I was really surprised, especially because the bismuth is so dense, so thick. It was bizarre. So more to come on that. You know, I did the first thing on there, first go at it, and we'll see how it goes going forward. So that's the bismuth thing. Okay, let's dig into that. I think did I take a video of a record melting? Let me see. I took a couple of videos. I don't know. You can't really like take a video of it melting, but I did take one of it in the fireplace. Yes. But yeah, it does look like mercury. Actually, it's exactly what it looks like. When you think of mercury, that's what the melted bismuth looks like. What I'll do next time is I'll take a video of it when it's melted. It's not like you watch it like melt. All of a sudden it's just like shrinking, and then all of a sudden there's just liquid in there. And then you'll see like almost looks like a little iceberg in the bismuth like liquid just sitting on top, and then it's gone, and it's just liquid. And then when you take it out and pour it, it's like it's not viscous really. It's just like really like thin liquid almost would be like how I would think of it. Very, very bizarre. It was really cool though. Really cool. So, okay. Let's dig into the rest of this stuff. Let's get going with it here. Pull this away over here. I have so many windows up for stuff to like look into, and stuff to post and what have you. Not going to be shy for content. Okay. The next post about MH370, I want to be about the uninterruptible autopilot. That's the next thing I want to get into with this. Yeah, I think doing the science experiments is going to be fun, but I don't know if I have the production skills. Sorry about that. The video production skills to like make it into be something really cool, but we'll see. I'm going to try. What we really need to do is I need to be able to get it to float on the magnet or whatever. But maybe the key is maybe I really need two plates. Maybe that's the answer. Like maybe you actually have to have 2 plates, and then that's what allows it to float between them. Not sure. Hey, Pamela, you're not too late. You just missed the recap, so you can go back and watch it if you want. Now, we're going to start in the middle of the report here, page 36. There's 30 pages. We're going to try to get through these pretty quick, and then I want to jump into some science today. The first thing I want to point out is what did we miss before you get to page 36 here is it pretty much goes over all the patents related to the uninterruptible autopilot for Boeing, and there's a lot. There's a lot of them. So I was already convinced on page 1, but it goes on for like another 30 pages. So if you guys don't want to believe that, then it's out there. I think that actually reminds me I have another thing somewhere. I'm trying to find it. I have something somewhere. Not sure where I put it. Sorry, I'm looking real quick. I thought I had a link to something somewhere that talked about how somebody had used a cell phone to take over a plane. Let me see if this is it. Let's just see if this is the one. No, it's not. So this is the one that talks about the fire scenario a little bit, the electrical fire. Yeah, why the ELT not transmit? I don't know. Okay, let's just get into it. I'll have to dig for it later. Let me just Google it real quick as well. Cell phone autopilot. If you guys can find it and send it, that'd be good. Take over a plane. There was definitely a story out there of that happening, and I wanted to add it onto my thing, so I'm going to probably have to dig around for that. We'll see. I may have to just post this tomorrow. Okay. So, we know Kuala Lumpur took off. There was 238 people on board. We know that the planes can be autopiloted. Maybe it was in here. No, I don't think so. Okay, this just talks about the flight path. We've already gone through the flight path a lot. If you needed a refresher on the flight path, take a look at my video on the YouTube related to the flight path explainer. You can pull that up right now while we're going through this if you want. It goes to the point where there's the weak point in the I need some caffeine. Goes to the point where there's the weak point in the radars between Ho Chi Minh and Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and that's when the pilot disappears, or the plane disappears. And the last communication, good night, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, at least the last public one. Okay. They talk about the location. I want to know where they think it was taken control of. So, the failure of the officials to disclose the turn should raise suspicions that the information as received by the public has gone through a layer of filtering. I like that. We're going to take that. So, oh, we also are going to make a Reddit post tomorrow as well. I'm not going to promote it too much, though, because we know the debunkers are going to be trying to make alt accounts just to downvote me, even though I've blocked most of them. Okay, save this real quick. Autopilot. Okay, we're going to grab certain snippets out of here. I like that one. That's a really interesting one, right? So there's so much obfuscation that happened after when this was going on. This is why if somebody's like too young and they were a kid when this happened, like you're not going to have the insights that are required to understand why this is such a big mystery. And I don't mean that to be rude to anybody, but for those of us who are adults, when we were watching this happen, the plane disappeared, like none of it made any sense at all. Not just for days, for like weeks and months. And they were obfuscating so much information, it felt like something was not right. Okay. So it made this turn, ascended to 45,000 feet, then dropped to 29,000 feet. I don't really believe the radar data, though. Why did I get banned? I don't think you are banned, are you? Switch it over to live chat for people. Rip zip, I can see you. I think people can see you, bud. For people who have... Oh, okay, yeah. There's nobody out there who doesn't know why I've blocked them. You really have to be just a douchebag to block me or to get blocked by me on Twitter. Yeah, I ditched Reddit, guys. I did ditch Reddit, guys. I did. I ditched Reddit pretty hard. But I am going to make a post tomorrow. We'll see. Okay, so the B-hop is the Boeing Honeywell uninterruptible autopilot. Okay, so what we want to figure out is when does he think it's happening? Okay, so blah, blah, blah was there. So we would contend that this erratic trajectory was aimed at simulating an in-flight emergency. Huh. The S-mode BHAP completely cuts off SATCOM communications. Hello. Let's take that. So this can be an explanation for why SATCOM went off, theoretically. If we believe that it went off. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they simulated an emergency. I think it was a literal emergency. That's the difference. So what I'm trying to figure out, I'm going to grab some water, but what I'm trying to figure out is why they, when they picked up the plane, if they autopiloted it, when did they pick it up with autopilot? I'm definitely not ruling autopilot out, but I think that it's a question of when they picked it up with autopilot, if they did use it. I personally, right now, I'm not of the opinion that they autopiloted it from the place where it turned around. You wouldn't autopilot it to Penang Airport, right? If it's going to Penang Airport, that means it's an emergency. I'm going to be right back. Okay. Malaysian officials will not release page 1 of the cargo manifest. That's interesting, guys. This connects... Okay, we better take that. I don't know if that's true. When was this report put out? Does anyone know when this report was put out? Yeah. Freescale is the most likely motive. Yeah, everybody agrees, right? Okay, that didn't work. What the hell? whatever. Copy. There we go. Okay. So Freescale is definitely the most likely motive. You could say stealing the cargo, but there's easier ways to steal cargo. Well, without stealing nearly 239 people. I don't like linking Israel to this. Seems just like needless. And the 9/11 stuff, linking that, we're not going to be linking 9/11 to this. There's just, again, just to be clear, like there's no reason to even do that from the conspiracy standpoint. When you start linking your conspiracies together, now you are opening your stuff up to scrutiny on a level where it's not necessary, right? Like the moment you start using arguments like, oh, it's been proven that 9/11 was done by, actually in this case, he's not really going all there, but the moment you start talking about 9/11 conspiracies and trying to link it, you're just opening yourselves up to scrutiny that shouldn't be necessary. GA Telesis. Oh, look, he mentions it right here. He mentions the GA Telesis thing in there. Huh. Mentions the GA Telesis. Interesting. Let's take that. Yeah, we've got enough to work with. We don't... Oh, that, look, there's even the screenshot that we use right here. So what's the connection here? The 2 Iranian passengers are interesting as well. This is interesting how much of the same evidence they're using, right? You don't need to talk about 9/11 to talk about the technology, though, right? That's the problem. That's what you shouldn't do, right? Never link your conspiracies together. It's just not worth it. Let your 9/11 conspiracy stand on its own. Let your MH370 conspiracy stand on its own, right? I mean, you got to know the media is going to use that link against you, 100%. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. Anyway, after the facts about television have been widely available, they faked a press release admitting to the purchase of the aircraft. Yeah, like this right here. It's totally unnecessary, man. Totally unnecessary. I'm not even going to say this out loud because I'm afraid YouTube is going to strike me. This is all unnecessary. You don't need to have anything about... You don't need to take swipes at Michelle Obama in your red text. Funny though. Okay. So they potentially faked a press release about the image. I'm trying to think, does that matter? What did Big Mike say? Yeah, the Nicobar one's fake, S23. I only needed 10 seconds to listen to it. It's all fake. It's somebody who's trying to pretend like they could recreate the real ones. Don't waste your time. If anything, they lended more credibility to the real videos. The person who made the second one was trying to get us to go all in on that, to try to show people how gullible we are. It's very obvious, their intention, everything's very obvious about the second video that we played earlier today. Don't waste any time on it. It's a very, very, very poor AI recreation that is... They thought they were going to try to prove how easy it was, and in fact, they, like the debunkers and skeptics usually do, they did the exact opposite. It proved how hard it was to create the AI, the real AI one that we got. Mike Obama. Guys, you guys are going to get me straight canceled, man. Cope Tiger. Did I skip ahead here? Yeah, I don't know about this press release thing. I don't know. It seems kind of bizarre. Mike Obama. It's too funny. Too funny, man. The guy's got a good sense of humor out there. Yeah, everybody's been going off on Michelle Obama, huh? Okay, the Cope Tiger AWACS used flash override authority to electronically disengage the BHAP. Okay, now this I like. This I like, folks. I wanted to understand why supposedly the aircraft would ping at that time. So this is an explanation. The AWACS. And why is this important? Because Catherine T at the same time sees the AWACS. What is this? There it goes. Okay. Catherine T sees the AWACS roughly around this time. Probably within like 10 minutes. I don't know how to say the French dad's names. Barry Sortero. Guys, you guys are going to get my YouTube channel struck. Inmarsat have themselves said that the behavior is highly unusual. The aims reset allows for the AWACS to control MH370 while seeking further instruction. And then 3 minutes later, communication is lost again. Yeah, see, he's trying to link it to 9/11 again. Not worth it, man. Not necessary, more importantly. Okay, I found some crazy, especially reading the article about EBO scientists. You should show us the other day. Please watch the interview. Dolores Cannon. It'll blow your mind. Guys, I don't want to be rude to people, but you got to realize, man, I don't have time. I don't have time to be watching hour-long interviews with people that aren't related to the case. I wish I did. I really don't. I don't even have time to be answering all my emails right now related to the case, right? So I get probably 20 different requests to watch hour-long YouTube videos every single day on Twitter and what have you. I was eating dinner with my parents today. My mom asked me, how do you respond to all the people? And I just told her I don't. I can't. I literally can't. Like, I can't even come close. I've already reached the point where it's just too much stuff. So the way, if you want to get me to see content, what I need you to do is I need you to clip the exact segment you want me to listen to. So you can reply to my Twitter. You can say, here's a YouTube video. Listen to it at 1 hour and 4 minutes or whatever, right? Clip the stuff that you think is important. Better yet, you can download it, clip it yourself, post it on YouTube, and then tag me on it, right? That's what I need from people. Okay, Cope Tiger's annual military exercise. Yes, blah, blah, blah. That's true. So March 10th is the official date. Cope Tiger 14 annual multilateral. Yes. It takes place at the Karat Thai Air Force Base in Thailand. Okay, where's that? Dude, why is my copy paste not working? I promise we're going to be getting into some science here. Mike Obama, man. The Mike Obama thing's cracking me up, man. Okay, so this is way over here. So assets potentially would have been over here. I mean, they would have been the right spot to intercept a plane from when it first goes dark. I haven't watched all of Lost Century yet, but I know about it. And without even watching it, I know I already agree with it. I know I already agree. I've seen enough and talked to Dr. Stephen Greer enough to know that totally agree. I saw Mike Obama during Ripple Moon. I hope they put out some more Space Fence stuff, man. I love Space Fence. Space Fence is the silliest idea ever, but I mean, of course, it's got a rational, useful idea, but it just seems so absurd. We're sitting here cutting down real fences, but we're putting up space fences. So So 76 aircraft were used in the Cope Tiger. The flight path would have taken it right past Cope Tiger military exercise. Well, there we go. Let's go ahead and clip that. Well, we'll just take this whole paragraph. Damn, this auto-interruptible autopilot thing is going to be pretty good, man. If we were to presume that AWACS or similar electronic equipment from Cope Tiger were to use Defense Red Switch Network Flash Override, sounds made up, but I'm sure it's real, facility to reset the aims and initiate a second abduction, we would see a similar looking log. Wow. Bingo, guys. Okay, everybody who's watching, look at this. So now we have evidence here now. So what if Dan Hanley is slightly wrong? What if there was a fire and they didn't pick it up right away? They pick up the plane at 2:25. That's when the connection happens again. Or 2:28. If we were to presume AWACS or other similar electronic aircraft from Cope Tiger would use their thing to reset the aims and initiate a BHIP abduction, we would see a similar logon request. So 2:25 is when he's saying that we would have seen the AWACS take over the plane. Wow. Cha-ching. Oh, let's go ahead and take that. Let's take that. This is what I was looking for, guys. This was the spice. Man, I should have skipped through the first 20 pages. He had me at page 1. I didn't even really need to finish the first 20 pages. That's big, guys. This is really big. They really could have taken over the plane here. What if they take over the plane because they've got to have the plane under control when they orbit? Wow. What if they have control of the plane wherever it goes as well? Yeah, we got to add 225 to the timeline, 100%. Yeah, we need to add this. This is very interesting. This probably needs to get added to all evidence as well. This is huge. I mean, I knew about the 225 login, but this is another one of those things where it's been out there. I've known about this the whole time, but I didn't have any connection to this to the rest of the plane. Rip Zip, yeah, chill out, man. I hope you didn't get banned there. Ooh. Oh, who did I just block? Oh, I didn't mean to do that, dude. Sorry, Barry. I literally misclicked. Can I unhide that? I can't unhide your message, man. I'm sorry. I was literally just trying to make sure this guy didn't get blocked. And I accidentally blocked Barry. My bad, dude. My bad. Hopefully Barry, tell me you're alive, Barry. Tell me you're alive. Yeah, that's huge right there. Oh, no. What did I just do? So that's huge. So, yeah, here's the hit right here. Oh, we're screenshotting this. Interesting. We would contend that the location would logically be Diego Garcia. Barry, are you still out there? Barry. Guys, do we know if Barry's okay? Oh, man, I don't know if Barry's out there. Hopefully he didn't get permabanned from a misclick. The remainder of the journey. Okay, so what are they going to do with these rest of these pings, right, guys? That's what we want to know. I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can follow along yourself. Dude, I'm getting worried we're not seeing. I want to have a drink with Mike Obama. Oh, okay, Barry's there. He's there, guys. He sees bright lights, guys. Okay. The receiving satellite records at the time the pings were received using the difference between the pings. The speed of light, air density. Okay, what? We can work out how far the plane was from the satellite. When the plane was still missing on Sunday, the day after it disappeared, our engineers looked at the network data and realized that the plane had been sending signals. We couldn't say what direction it had gone, but the plane wasn't standing still because the signals were getting longer. Okay. Let's pretend someone from Inmarsat has been wagged by the CNN dog. Waged? From the first principles, all is constant is the speed of light, likely the speed of MH370 and the time the satellites ping. SATCOM pings hourly. Okay. Well, I've got some evidence for him. This is that somebody had made a post saying that apparently Inmarsat had pings go off. Oh, I just hit the camera. Inmarsat had pings go off, and the plane was on the ground. A different plane was on the ground. Guys are going all in on the Obama stuff. The black boxes are still collecting data, which is why the OOOI system is still operational. If we were to implicate Inmarsat in a cover-up, yes, I like that, which we are. The timing within the original data can be faked to reproduce a southerly track. April 1st, the final ping locations are released to the public. The 7th radial had gone to be replaced by an easterly turn counter to the satellite radial and to also counter to the curvature of the Earth, which projects a straight line when filming to latitude. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and take that. I like parts out here. If we were to implicate Inmarsat in a cover-up, which we are, exactly, dude. Exactly. Okay. Notice the routine hourly pings from west of Singapore until the second to last ping. SATCOM recognizes the plane is in cruise and just maintains hourly contact. This is why they're trying to say the plane goes south. Wow. Oh, okay, yeah. No, I'm 100% convinced now that's when the plane disappeared, 1840 or right afterwards. So this is why, the reason why the data goes dark there is because the plane teleports, and now the satellite pings are being faked or fraudulent, or like he's going to argue here that the plane's just flying somewhere else towards Diego Garcia. We're going to argue maybe it is, but it's not flying from here. It's flying from like the Maldives. The last ping is delayed because between T plus 4 hours 40 minutes or something, or T plus 5:43, the aircraft was descending. As it is not in cruise, the SATCOM doesn't routinely ping every hour if there is a change in flight phase. Remember, all the other systems communicating with the ACARS systems are off, so the SATCOM is just using its own software to trigger an hourly handshake. So under the assumption the speed of light hasn't changed, the as-sent ping times were not manipulated, and let's assume that the average speed of the plane cruise was 330 knots. Can be suggested that the matches the observed ping habits of the SATCOM system. It makes it to Diego Garcia in time for the final on-ground ping. Incidentally, it ties in with the time MH370 was seen in the Maldives, roughly 6:45 a.m. This is where I agree pretty hard. Our difference, right, is that we're teleporting from up here over to here, and then they're flying down this way. That's the difference. Poof, over to here, fly down. He thinks, oh, they fly here, and then they go over this way. But this is the first fake ping, 3:41 a.m. 3:41 is 1941 ping. Okay? 1840 is the one right up here. This is where the plane disappears, and all the rest of the pings after this are sketchy. They make no sense. So this is where the plane, they're using the teleportation or whatever they're doing to it, and then somehow it's lining up with this Maldives. I mean, it's crazy how similar this is to our thing. This is really similar. I sent the letter to Ashton Forbes to Field McConnell, and he was pretty compelled by it, apparently. I heard back through an intermediary, by the way. I haven't told anybody this until just now. It was several days ago, though. And when I talked to him, one of the things I asked him about was the technology, and he said, "No, I don't think the technology is real. I know it is." That was his response. Holy shit. Okay. Inmarsat's further calculations using the known speed of MH370 can create enough of a Doppler shift in SATCOM that they could calculate the direction the aircraft was traveling. They claim this is the first time anyone had done this calculation this way, calling it novel. Called frequency burst analysis. This is the bullshit that Mike Exner and Victor Alanello just made up with. The burst analysis has to be corrected by the satellite system to resolve the digital data encoded with it, so it automatically corrects for satellite position and motion. So wait, does this mean it's flying a positive FBO correlates with the plane flying towards the satellite? Is JK Philly fan in here? I'm trying to figure out right now if the Inmarsat pings actually are just wrong in terms of how they analyze them. The burst offset is always positive. Whoa. They do not show which satellite recorded the earliest pings. The MH3 SATCOM system had a constant frequency error in the transmitter around 90 hertz greater than the frequency it was meant to transmit on, or the satellite had a frequency error consistently 90 hertz lower than the frequency it was meant to transmit on. MH370 was consistently traveling towards Diego Garcia as the last burst offsets are increasing. I always wondered about this. Where's the part? I think we're going to clip this. You know, Mike Exner and Victor, they might get tagged. This Inmarsat data is total bullshit, guys, 100%. I'm calling you out, Inmarsat. Your data is bullshit. I know it's bullshit. The Inmarsat data is presented by them in the graph above supports a flight route towards Diego Garcia, not parallel or away from it. This is completely beside the fact that we believe their time had been altered to fly the plane south. Wow. Oh, hello. I don't know if you needed to write this in all caps, but... hello. Yeah. So basically, Sergio Cavello and these guys are right. It's the independent groups are the frauds. The independent group are complete frauds. I want that to be 100% known right now. The independent group are frauds. No one should be listening to anybody who's affiliated with the independent group. Their work is fraudulent, and that's the reason why they didn't find the plane. Yeah, Inmarsat's bullshit. And guess what? Guess what hinges on everybody's scenarios? The Inmarsat data. Inmarsat's fake. All those other scenarios going to South Indian Ocean are fake. Wow. Even if you swap the polarity of the burst offsets between 0.8 and 12 to a negative, this would still be at odds with the flight confirmed flying towards Diego Garcia between port 4 and 5, which again confirmed the trajectory according to the data. Even given the odd error, let's go ahead and take another screenshot here. Did we take a screenshot of this? I move my water bottles in the way. No, we need a screenshot of this. Can I not? I can't take this exactly. This is kind of small. We'll just take this one. This is going to be a good post, guys. This is going to be a good post. I wasn't sure how good this post was going to be, but this is going to be nice now. Yeah, I wish we had figured this out earlier, but this is why they couldn't release the information earlier, right? We might have been able to triangulate the phones if we had known it was all bullshit in the first 4 days, right? Yeah, they gave fake data, or they at a minimum they misinterpreted the data, but they may have also just faked the data as well. Seems very likely now looking at this. Okay. Where were we here? Okay. Wow. Even given the odd error that can occur with assumptions, a Western flight track still has a better fit with the burst offset data than a track to the south. Wow. They retracted that data? Whoa. The last one was an unusual logon request. At 8:11, which is 0011 UTC, I think, the SATCOM system pinged to send an on-ground flight mode change as MH370 landed at Diego Garcia, and the way the aircraft armed the squat switches in the landing gear. The fuel flow switches would be tripped, and that caused another ping. Wow. Take that. That's pretty big. So basically he's saying that the reason why we had these unusual pings is because they were landing and they couldn't disable the automatic pings, and so they had to just make it seem like they were just weird, not explainable. I mean, this pretty much proves the plane landed at Diego Garcia. Okay. It's possible that the AWACS hit the U.S. plane in Cope Tiger as was anticipated and needed by the perpetrators. Nah, the U.S. is the one who took the plane. I mean, we've got them on 2 videos. I wonder if the letter to us is trying to implicate Israel. Not our problem. Interesting. You can't purchase super chats? Is that true? Have super chats been disabled? Is that why no one's been able to do them recently? Monetization might be turned off. I don't know. Let me look. I don't really pay too much attention to these things. Let me take a gander. No, it's turned on. I'm not sure, man. Not sure. Hey, Arwen. Hey, guys. Okay, we're almost done with this part, and then we're going to get on to doing a little bit of science tonight. So they anticipated that it would... Oh, okay. No, it looks like it works, guys. Operation Northwoods. Thanks, guys. Hey, Parrish. Hey, Rip Zip. Okay, just for you. Operation Northwoods. I've heard this. I don't remember which one it is. Bombing of civilian targets, blamed on by Cuba, by the United States. Okay. U.S. wanted to provoke war with Cuba. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you. I guess you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Sandy. Appreciate those donations, guys. Awesome. Appreciate you. Okay. Okay. Now you guys are. Okay. Thanks, Beninator. Appreciate you, buddy. So they anticipated they would have dumped the plane. Now, the reason why they wouldn't dump the plane is that you're going to find the black box. And if you find the black box, it's all over, right? They're never going to find the plane because they're never going to find the black box. If they do, they'll have to pretend like, oh, the black box was mysteriously missing. Which, I mean, come on. At that point. Because the problem is the black box stuff will always be there. Oh, so now we're already to the appendix part. So that was it, pretty much. Okay, again, a link into 9/11. Shouldn't be doing that. Just no need. Okay. Uninterruptible autopilot system patented by Boeing will connect the ground controllers. Let's go ahead and copy this. Now, the one thing we will talk about with 9/11 is we'll say that after 9/11, they developed this system, right? Which makes sense. $30? I think it was $2, but watch what segment? Oh, Ryan C. I don't know what segment you're talking about, buddy. Ryan, tell me what you want me to watch, bud. Okay, passenger monitor device. Okay, Homeland Security Newswire. What was this? A Boeing? Where does this come from? Okay, let's copy this. Yeah, this, so, I mean, we found some good stuff in here. I'm not sure about the cockpit doors being secure either. This plane was produced in 2002. That's not a lot of time after 9/11 to upgrade the doors. And it's not an American plane. Okay, what's this one talk about? I just want to see if there's any more. So if you read the first 22 pages, it's mostly about all these different patents in there. Yeah, so they're never going to, Anthony points out, they're never going to find the black boxes. There's 2 of them. definitely going to find it. Any computer system as it's out there can be hacked. That's just the simple answer to it. And this is a report from 2003. This is 10 years before the plane went missing, talking about the system, the Airbus Honeywell system. Cockpit automation, take control of jetliners, help them fly natural-made obstacles. Here's the flight management system. Ryan C., what were you trying to get us to watch, bud? Even though I didn't see your donation, we'll still potentially watch it if you let me know what you're trying to get me to watch. And this flight management system would have been software. Like, this wouldn't have been something you have to install, I don't think. Not sure, though. No, we can't see your links, man. You have to tell me what you need me to search for. Can't post links in YouTube chats like this. I don't have any control over that, by the way. Okay. Is that it? Oh, he put his table of contents at the end. Probably should have put this in the beginning. This would have saved me a lot of time. I read all 23 of these pages of the patents, and even the 34, and then it gets into the juice down here. Okay. It's a pretty good report, guys. I like it. Page 37. Not really. This isn't the patent. It's fine though. Okay. So let's take this. Make sure we get this down. Now I got to figure out where I left that other thing. Alien Chronicles. The Who Are the Greys segment, man. This is not really on topic. What are the Greys are? Is this what you want, buddy?
The little
Weird. I just want to
sometimes
figure
people
who she
have
is.
told me they have seen like tall blondes in their room, but usually they have a see-through quality.
Dolores.
This is because it's
her
not
name?
really
Cannon?
them. It
Boy, she wrote a lot of books. God, Wikipedia. Can we trust Wikipedia? That is actually pretty interesting. Yeah, thank you for doing what I asked and gave me the clip. Pretty interesting. Especially because it syncs up exactly with what EBO scientist was saying, right? EBO scientist was saying that they're biologically constructed organisms. Yeah, I try not to judge people by how much into the woo they are, right? Until they start attacking me, then I'm going to judge them. Just kidding. Hypnotherapy. Oh, so she was doing some of the hypnotherapy stuff. Cool. Writer. Okay. You guys ready for some science? Okay. Speaker and a teacher. What's her inside knowledge about all this? Just talking to people? Central figure in conspiracy theory communities. Huh. Huh. Starseeds, huh? I like a lot of her stuff here. Difference is I don't believe anybody's more special than anybody else. I just think we're all the same. Get into that Bigfoot next, guys. If I saw a compelling Bigfoot video, maybe. Okay, guys, I want to spend the rest of the time on science stuff. We promised. We promised. Let's look at this real quick. Sensor systems and methods using entangled quanta. Oh, look, Lockheed Martin again. 2010. What a surprise. Entangled quantum signal using a plurality of entangled quanta. A carrier signal generates a carrier signal. A carrier signal generates a carrier signal? Seems redundant. That uses electromagnetic field pulses. The power of the carrier signal is less than the power required to ionize propagating medium through which the carrier signal is traveling. A beam combiner is configured to output a combined signal that includes the quanta signal, entangled quanta signal, and an EMF pulse on the carrier signal. Quantum detector is configured to detect a return signal based on the combined signal beam. This is almost like, is this how you teleport an object? I want to see what I'm looking for. Some things that are being bounced off one another. Huh. Determine characteristics of a target to be detected. Determine the frequency for entangled photons based on the characteristics to be detected. Generate entangled quanta at the desired propagation frequency. Amplify the number of entangled quanta to achieve desired resolution frequency. Generate a carrier signal combined with entangled quanta waveform. Doesn't this feel a little bit like a teleportation device, guys? Transmit the combined signal. Receive return signal containing entangled quanta reflected from the target. Separate quanta and measure the attributes. Condition return signal. Process. This is like basically teleportation, what we're reading right here. Holy shit. Wow. Oh, yeah, there it is. Beam combiner. Okay. Ooh, boy. They don't just straight up say teleportation, right? But they don't really need to. Positioning system. Feels like we're gonna get killed for talking through this stuff. Feels like we probably messing with Lockheed might be one of the bigger mistakes I've made in my life. Just don't care though. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Okay, let's look at some other fun stuff. I don't know if I'm going to post this as a thing, so let's take a look at this. Oh, Department of Energy, energy.gov, Toramax, Central Solenoid. JK Philly fans in here will probably like this. Magnetic field. You can see the green is the magnetic field. This is probably the electrical current will be our pointing vector, I think. So you have a toroidal electromagnetic field. I mean, to me, this looks like a fusion device right here. This is literally a fusion energy scientists for leading plasma confinement, future plants, or future fusion plants. This is a fusion generator right here. I was right. This is a fusion reactor. I'm going to save this for later. I don't think I have anything to put this with right now, but I'm going to save this in my science thing. Of course, everybody's using toroids, huh? Oh, there's JK Philly. There he is. I just I summoned him. I was looking up toroids, which toroids are definitely the secret. It's not that it's to some degree you could argue that it is sacred geometry, but it's not even a good way to put it. The reason why toroids work is because that's how we can control the flow of electromagnetics, right? Electric fields, magnetic fields, just like this image right here. The magnetic fields are propagating around this way, and using the right-hand rule, right? Using the right-hand rule, we're able to generate our pointing vector. So what's the pointing vector doing? It's curving in a circle. Am I saying that right? I think I might be saying that right. Scary. Scary, guys. Right-hand rule. So you follow the gold lines here with the right-hand rule, your fingers, and then your thumb is the pointing vector. And the pointing vector is going to be the pink. I'm stealing this picture. This is the most comprehensive picture I've seen explaining this so far. Or maybe I'm just starting to understand it. Either way, scary. Guys, can you imagine if Ashton Forbes learns how to do electrical engineering? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoopsie. It's my favorite soundbite from Mortal Kombat. Whoopsie. So this is what Bob Greenier would say here is you're looking at the face, right? The face. The next thing we need to figure out how to create a magnetic monopole. That's the last thing we have to figure out, I think. This is like two magnets, right? Two magnets. And then... Yes, I think it is. Induced magnetic field around the current loop. What comments did I miss? Sorry, I can't read and read all the comments at the same time. If you want me to address something, you'll have to ping me on it. Yeah, hey, look, there you go, right-hand rule. Yeah, okay. Yep, I was right. Magnetic field of the straight wire. Yeah, right-hand rule. That's exactly it. Holy crap, folks. It's starting to make sense to me. Starting to make sense. No, the theory is it's important to know how this stuff works. Just because everything's a wave and not a particle doesn't mean electrical engineering is incorrect. It just means you have to look at it through the right lens. I actually agree with Ken Wheeler about you have to look at things in terms of waves and perturbance, or is that right? Perturbance? I don't know how to say the word correctly. Through the medium. Yeah, these coils are the answer to everything, guys. And look how simple it is. You just wrap a coil wire around a toroid, and now you're creating a pointing vector here. Right? It's really that simple. This is why we don't need metamaterials to induce superconductivity. We're just abusing toroidal shapes. So Bob Greenier says you do this and you do fractal toroids. So you have a donut, and then you take your donuts and you layer them into a bigger donut, and then you layer that into even a bigger donut, and then now you start to break the limit of what we think is possible, and so our energy is now going to be focused onto a single point, supposedly. I think there's something else we're still missing there, but pretty much. So you guys want to look at some cool videos? We're going to get ourselves striked. Doesn't matter. Let's watch a little bit of Ken Wheeler, guys. It's going to probably get some people judging us based on this, but it's fine. Yeah, that's what I'm going to show us, Hermes. You're going to like the stuff I'm going to show here, I think. Where is it? Did I really not save it? Oh, not like this, chat. Not like this. Okay. Damn. It was one of Ken Wheeler's videos. Somebody sent it to me, but I don't have it up. So let's look at his other one then. So
hello, author of.
Now, I'm just going to explain this to you so we don't have to watch 15 minutes of this here. I don't want to say, oh, alien scientist here. Yo, Jeremy. Yeah, man. Dude, you know what's scaring me, Jeremy? Like, how long have I been even looking at this science? Probably 3 months or less. And I haven't even spent that much time on it. Like, maybe 1 out of every 3 days doing the science. It's already starting to make sense to me a little bit. Like, I'm not an expert by any means, but, like, I just explained pointing vectors. So, yeah, it's starting to get to the point where I'm like, damn. It's, like, people should learn this stuff, man. It's important. It's really important to understand our reality. So I'm going to explain this experiment here, why this one's important, right? So Ken Wheeler's about to explain why magnetism isn't what we think. And what he's going to do is he's going to show that the time factor makes a difference. Where's my magnet? One sec, let me grab it. Right? Same magnet that he's got right there, right? And he's got it over one of these pin things, right? Which has got iron. He calls it ferrous, right? Which is just, it's the Latin for iron. And what he's going to do is if he puts the magnet slowly, drops the magnet slowly onto the nails here, then a lot of the nails will come up and stick to it. But if you do it very quickly, then only the nails right underneath it stick. And then there's a bunch of nails along the side that don't get pulled up. And you might say, well, why is that going to happen? And the answer is because there's an invisible magnetic field around the magnet. And if you put it down there quickly, this magnetic field is like basically warping or it's changing, however you want to think of it. But if you do that very quickly, then the nails don't have time to kind of react and get sucked up. That's my stupid layman's explanation for it. I should be very careful where I put this magnet, by the way. Very careful where I set this down. In fact, I might buy one of these things. So I'm going to show it to you. Let's let him explain it. Can we do subtitles? Okay, so slow versus fast. This is the part I want to show you.
Some of them came forward.
Okay, so
here's the slow approach. You can see I only get a few nails lifted up.
So slow approach, all that happens is a few nails go up, okay, when he does it slowly.
Now let's turn it upside down.
And when he turns it upside down after the slow approach,
look how many came forward.
Like a lot of nails come forward on the slow approach. So he sticks it slowly, then a few nails come up, and then he spins it over. Now all these nails stick up to it, right? Now watch what happens on the fast approach.
Very few didn't. You see, there's about 5 times as many nails.
So when he does it fast, more nails stick up. Why would throwing the magnet on there quicker make more nails come up than doing it slower? That's interesting, right?
Lift it up, as well as the periphery. We got a great deal of dielectric displacement. We're getting activity not at 90 degrees here. We are along the dielectric this way in the ferrous iron nails, but we're getting reaction at 0 degrees from approach this way. Obviously the nails and obviously applied field, quote unquote, is occurring at 0 degrees. So let's try the same thing. Turn it upside down and see what we get this time. Oh, look. There's a ring. Let's try it again.
He didn't really show us that one.
This time. Ready?
He shows it here, though.
And turn it upside down. Now look.
Look at that. Look at that, chat. Look at this huge dead zone here around the magnet. Why are these all not getting pulled forward? Because of the giant magnetic field around it, right? The displacement of space-time, if you want to think of it, from the magnetic field. You would think that with all the stuff near it should get pulled forward, but it doesn't.
There's a huge ring.
Look at that huge
around the
ring.
magnet that did not approach. Why is that the case? When I dropped all the nails forward, this ring shouldn't be here. What is happening? Let's do that again. It's real slow and then real fast. Slow approach.
This is a really smart approach to this,
Turn it all upside down. Shake it really good. Look,
yeah, okay, brace the static friction more. I want to hear his explanation
try it again really fast. Boom. Turn it upside down again. And look, there's a huge ring.
Look at that huge ring
missing out of the center here. What happened from a fast approach that didn't happen on a slow approach, or vice versa?
That's crazy.
What's happening is, upon the fast approach in the nails, what it's doing is it's taking every atom, of course, in the ferrous material, i.e. these nails, as well as any ferrous material that can have applied fields to it. The fast approach is causing dielectric displacement. Just like spinning up a gyroscope, it's causing an electrical, actually specifically a dielectric.
Yeah, so if you spin a gyroscope, right, imagine a gyroscope spinning. Like it's creating like some electrical, it's creating a displacement around it, right? So I guess field's not the right way to place it, but yeah, dielectric displacement.
Electric inertia to spin this way at 90 degrees. So we are getting a 90-degree reaction on a fast approach. What we're doing is we're not changing.
And the 90-degree reaction's on all sides of the magnet, right? So that's why it's going all the way around it. Pretty wild, huh? Yeah, so exactly. So speed pushes the magnet into a torus shape, deflecting the nails away from it in a donut shape. Yes, exactly. A curl around the magnet entirely. Crazy, huh? So I want to see if I can find the other clip from him. Oh, here it is. Boom. No, wait, is this it? Yeah, this is it. That was easy. I'm going to save this.
Hello, everybody. I was able.
Save this one. I didn't have this one, but I guess because I watched it recently, it was up there. Okay, so who wants to see what the torus shape looks like, folks?
Create a even more powerful. Just looking at the number.
Here we go.
Card, right? Well, a true art hologram, which most people have never seen.
Look at that.
Is about.
So basically, he's putting ferrofluid. So what he's done here, I'm going to explain it to you guys. He is taking 2 sheets of glass with ferrofluid, which is a iron fluid, right? Ferro again. And he's sticking it just a couple drops between 2 plates of glass with the lights coming off the side of it so we can see it. And then he's putting in a magnet underneath it, right? And look at, so this, what's this doing? This is allowing us to see the magnetic fields. And it's basically apparently the same as a hologram.
Constructive and destructive interference between the magnetic and dielectric. Now, I'll explain this in other videos, and
Yeah, I imagine the Earth does have a torus field because the Earth is a giant magnet, right? We have a huge magnetic field over it as well.
Have in the past, but also in my book, you see these little bright spots right here.
So you see these bright spots he's talking about here. So we're seeing constructive and deconstructive interference. So everywhere where you see the darkness, that's going to be your destructive interference, and then elsewhere where it's bright, you're going to be seeing your constructive interference. Pretty wild, right? But this is actually just, there's a literal magnet underneath ferrofluid here. That's what we're actually staring at.
Here, there's little tiny bright spots along the lines of intersection.
Yeah, a very powerful magnet. Probably a neodymium. I don't even know how to say it right.
You notice they occur
neodymium? I don't know, whatever. I'll have to Google that later.
Now this supercell is so sensitive.
There's a dipole relaxation. Yeah.
Moving the magnet.
Oh, it's a weak magnet?
It'll burn in. You can see like a
I think he's actually using a donut magnet here.
I just call it burn because it's so sensitive, the powerful magnetic field, even though it's a weak
magnet, he's using a weak magnet. He's using a weak magnet here.
That it's
but look at that.
Destroying the supercell. Like I said, that's why I've got it taped so I could take it apart really quickly. Let's go top down.
Look at that.
Kind of looks like a black hole, huh?
Does look a little bit like a black hole.
Here you see the hypertrophic
Look how wild
pattern.
This looks.
Kind of like you see in a dream catcher.
Look at this.
The pattern you see in
so just to reiterate for people, this is literally just ferrofluid between 2 pieces of glass that are stuck together. And he's just putting a magnet underneath it, and there's just light coming on the side so you can see it.
The center of a dream catcher is a hypertrophoidal pattern. Yeah? Let's actually take the speaker magnet out. And let's magnetic field penetrates through absolutely everything.
Look at that.
Absolutely everything. But let's place it underneath. So too, I could place it on top.
I want to see that again.
Place it on top for a second.
Look at the magnetic field placed on top.
Here we go.
Look at that. Does that look like anything for you guys? I mean, that looks like just what we were looking at before, right? With the eye-shaped thing. And you can see that the line's going right through here in the middle. You got your eyes here, and you got another one on the other side.
Zoom in and do that, huh?
Super sweet.
Doesn't matter whether I put
Look at that right there. Holy crap. Wow. Look at that.
Place it on the top of the box. Okay. Looks like an owl's face, doesn't it?
Look at that.
This is the secret.
Looks like an owl's face.
This is the actual construct and destructive interference.
This is where, if we were to show this to Bob Greenier, he's going to start doing the circle thing for us, right? He's going to say, look at this, guys.
Interference. Here's one pole, here's another pole. But a magnet doesn't actually have poles. What it has is the
Oh, so these are the poles, the north and south. Okay.
Inverse of counter space, which is specifically force and motion. See centrifugal divergent magnetic field.
He starts getting a little bit too much into it here where he starts losing me. He speaks in too many big words. But the way that I think he describes it here is that, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but that electric current and magnetism are almost the opposites of one another, where magnetism's the absence of an electrical field, which is causing an inertia, which is why things will then stick to the magnet. Could be wrong, but that's how I understand it.
Which, of course, is not literally being emitted from the magnet. It's literally the ether itself under polarized deformation from the field of the point source singularity that is what defines the magnet. Because a magnet is not defined by what is quantitative, rather by what is qualitative. And I've explained this 1,000 times, and also too, including my book. I'll show you one pole.
Oh, okay, so he flips the magnet over so that we can just see the North Pole or the South Pole, one pole by itself, compared to the other angle. When we flipped it over, then we're seeing both sides. Huh, so we can see it from different perspectives here, right?
The magnet here, let's zoom in.
Yeah, inductance theory, induction, yeah. So the thing about induction really then is it goes back to waves. We don't want to think in terms of particles. We want to be thinking in terms of induction through a medium. And why is that important, guys? So it's important because if you were to take a laser, you're going to see the laser beam going straight. Now, the moment you put a glass of water there, it's going to get bent. Why is it going to get bent? Because it's a different medium, because it's induction through the medium.
I'm sorry about that shaky video, but if I zoom
Dave
in,
Rossi mentioned this on Tim Pool, and he mentioned this in our interview as well.
Now you notice how small the black spot is. Of course, where it's black is a dielectric. This is constructive and destructive interference between the magnetic and the dielectric. This is literally the lotus blossom. It kind of looks like a lotus blossom, doesn't it? But specifically, from up above, it looks like a dream catcher. It's a hypertoroidal pattern of constructive and destructive interference. So literally the interplay between magnetic and dielectric, because magnetism is the dielectric field.
How wild is it that in the middle of it, right where the pole is, it's just all black, right? I guess that's because that's where you've got the magnetic fields are coming right out through there, right? So if we were to look at our Earth, think of like our Earth as a magnet. That's why on the north and south magnetic poles, you're going to have the magnetic fields coming out just like that.
See, and this is destructive, like the cheap man's version of the field around it. In other words, you have to get a lot closer to a piece of metal to see how huge the black hole is, or the black section of the dielectric portal is.
So I'll link this one in the chat if you guys want to keep watching it.
See if I can get a little bit better focus. The concentric circles, you actually see shades. It goes from black to dark red to orange.
Yeah, you can see the shades there too.
Yellow. This is the magnet that will very quickly. Also, too, you can see these bright points right here. You see that? You see how quickly it's destroying the cell? This is what I mean by burned.
Oh wow, look at that burning.
It's not literally burnt. It's just literally causing. This is why I have to take the supercell apart when you use really powerful magnets.
Yeah, wow.
But
really cool stuff.
Cord over a little bit.
Anything else we want to get on this one?
I can't leave it sitting. Take a look as I scoot it. Let me get deep, low on it right there.
Take another one look at this. Flat Earthers hate this video. Yeah, it's already freaking me out a little bit. It's important to understand this stuff when we're thinking about the Chan-Thomas and the pole flipping theories, right?
Magnet, but you still see the dielectric portal, this little black spot right here in the middle.
The Earth itself is not a toroid, but perhaps...
Magnets, by the way, do not accelerate towards one another. What they do is they accelerate.
When you were looking at that, we were looking at one of the poles, right?
Acceleration. Let's actually place the ring magnet underneath the supercell and show you what is.
Yeah, I probably need to look more into MRIs and how they work.
Okay, let me zoom out a little bit.
Look at that.
This ring magnet will quickly fry this supercell big deal. It's like rebuild it. But look at the magnetoholography. If you actually had this in your hand,
magnetoholography,
now look at this.
holographic
Magnet even though
magnetic
you don't
fields.
have this in your hands and you can't
Yeah,
see what it is I'm talking about. Look
kind
at
of creates
the
toroid.
holographic depth. You actually have this trough.
Yeah, you can see the depth in here is pretty wild, right?
Point where the entire, and of course the magnetic field.
You can, so what he's talking about there is he's talking about how you can see these fields go towards the middle here, towards this middle point, right? You can totally see it. You can see them and get smaller. Like looks like you can see three-dimensionally, right?
Even though larger and more perfect. They're both toroidal. The ring magnet, of course, is a toroid, but the magnetic field is also a toroid, and that's actually one of the reasons why ring magnets destroy.
So now this is what I want you guys to imagine here. Imagine we're looking at the flow of electricity somehow here, right? And it's all focusing on a single point right here in the middle. Now, it's not going to be able to do that with just this shape, but in my mind, that's what I imagine the fractal toroids being able to pull off. If you get it to a point where everything's focused onto this single point in the middle, now this is where you're going to start to create energy levels that are going to be able to break the Schwinger limit. And maybe, like Bob Greener said, if you get everything so that it perpetually flows back towards the same point, where now you can get this increasing unlimited energy source. Like if you're having, you run water through it and it just perpetually builds up, right? The water doesn't come out the bottom or something. I mean, that might be a way to think of it.
The supercells so quickly. A black hole is where dielectricity, just like the super powerful magnet, except a really poor analogy, is where dielectricity overthrows magnetism's ability to keep something within the visible universe. If I were...
Dielectricity overflows magnetism's ability to keep something in the observable universe. So the dielectricity is the black part, right? It's overwhelming the magnetic part in the middle.
Which I can't pump up the dielectric power of this little tiny magnet like a billion-fold. It would literally vanish from the universe. It would not be there anymore. I would actually still have the same field. Well, it'd be a lot different than this. It'd actually all look black with maybe some light fringes around the edge.
It's not 3D. It just looks 3D.
Of course, the supercell would get sucked into it, right? Because it would be a black hole. It would not be there because the only thing that actually keeps this physical magnet.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so I want to do some other stuff. We're not going to go too much longer tonight, but I want to look at some other things here as well. This is one I haven't really looked at yet. Quantized gravity. So let's skip.
Tend to move in a straight line at a constant speed.
Now this looks really similar, right? All of a sudden he's talking about inertia and not so much talking anymore about particles.
Until you push on them. So if this star moves in a straight line, it will follow the red arrow shown here, and it will end up in deep space. That's the same, so this is the centrifugal force. Matter in the galaxies lit up to hold them in. If they hadn't...
Yeah. So what he's saying here is he's debunking dark matter. He's explaining dark matter, I guess, is the answer. And I'll answer that question in a second. I'll let Enchanted Niper. But so the thing is, we see these stars moving very fastly around the outside of the galaxies, where if all the matter was there is all there was, then what should be happening is the stars should be flying out into outer space. But they don't. They have more centrifugal force, so they're staying here. So we know there's more mass. It's somehow warping them to flow along the curvature here to keep spinning around, even though they're going very fast. So this is what we call dark matter. This is where Roy D. Herbert would come in and say, the more complexity there is, the more mass there is, the more gravity, therefore, there is as well. And that's the reason why we don't see more, is it's the complexity itself that's allowing for the additional amount of gravity that we don't see. It explains dark matter. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much. Problem with dark matter, don't care. Oceanograph.
By analogy here.
Ship analogies.
And
I think we've explained all this already.
Physics. I'm going to...
Let's go look at the horizon analogy.
So I'm going to try and explain it again using an analogy. So imagine that you're so shocked.
Okay, let's look at quantum waves instead. Let's just skip ahead.
There. So it works for light and for other objects as well. So here I've shown
what's wrong, Michael?
Ball, which is exciting to the right.
Yeah, don't spam, guys.
And relativity tells us that information can't
saw your
travel
message.
faster than the speed of light. So just like you running away from...
So real quick, I'm going to address two things in the chat. First, the sacred geometry angle. Okay, guys? So, and again, I'm not trying to be rude here. I'm trying to help out. And when I say this, don't try to link everything together. Don't try to link this conspiracy with that conspiracy. Don't try to link science with every single geometric shape and numerology that's out there. You're just discrediting yourself when you do that. When you want to explain the science and explain how the science is real, we don't need to understand all the fact that these shapes are in our face. You know, I love Bob Greenier, but like when he starts talking about the shapes in your face and stuff like that, like this is where you lose all the CNN brain people immediately. The moment you do that, they're checking out. The moment you talk about the numerology and the 3 6s and the 9s, people are checking out. And it's not necessary. We get that it makes you excited that you think that everything's connected and we have this unifying theory of everything. That's not what we need when we're trying to prove the science. All we need to do is prove that the science works. No matter what shape it is, doesn't matter. We don't need to prove the 9/11 theories are true in order to prove the MH370 theories, right? Keep everything separate. If you do that, you'll have a much higher degree of credibility. Yes, maybe the toroidal shapes are sacred geometry. Maybe the patterns are sacred geometry. We don't need to combine everything together. We don't need a unification theory of every single thing in order to understand how the science works. So that would just be my advice to people that are out there, right? And I'm trying to get the stuff out there in a way where we're going to get normal people to take it seriously, right? And then to Enchanted Nightbird's question, why aren't we using this tech? Why aren't we using this technology today? Greed or control, right? And the answer there is probably both. So first of all, I think that truly the most logical explanation for why we're not using this technology is the national security implications. Just like the person said in the letter to Ashton Forbes, this technology, you can create a doomsday weapon. Might be able to create black holes with this, right? If you can create black holes with this, like we just heard Ken Wheeler talking about, if you power this magnet up, you're going to create a black hole where it'll no longer even be in this universe. Like, there you go, guys. That's the answer. That's the simple answer. It's not about religious people think that they're angels or whatever. It's just much simpler than that. We're going to destroy ourselves. And if we're going to destroy ourselves, now you understand why the Lou Elizondos of the world are hiding this information, even though they probably know about it. Because they're hiding it for national defense purposes. And then really what it comes down to is this. It comes down to a philosophical question. Are you the type of person that believes we will destroy ourselves? Or are you the type of person, and therefore it needs to be hidden? Or are you the type of person that believes that we drive our own future? It's up to us to determine. And if we destroy ourselves, then we destroy ourselves. Now you understand why the question that I ask all UFOologists out there, the question that I ask everybody is, would you still want disclosure if what it meant was the end of the world? And I don't mean nuclear weapons. I mean literally the world being completely destroyed. But esoteric gold, that's what free energy is all about. Free energy leads to doomsday weapons. There's no getting around it either. And it's a Pandora's box. The moment you open it up and you tell the world we have free energy, now the doomsday weapons are coming with it, right? That's why they're hiding it. That's why whoever controls that technology controls the world. That's why the tyrants and the elites know about it and they don't tell anybody else about it. Because if you know about that technology and you know the implications, you want to abuse it. You don't want to get wiped off the planet. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that donation. So hopefully I think that answers the questions in the chat. Good questions, though, guys. And I think it's important that we address that, right? Because that's my angle of pushing the conversation forward, right? But there is alien scientists. There is a way to do it. Now, it's not technically free energy, but what it is you open up your system to the energy of the Earth, the energy of space-time itself, right? We know we're sitting on a magnet, right? We're sitting on a giant magnet. We know that if we go up in the sky, that we're going to have more voltage, right? So instead of thinking as a system as a closed loop, like Dave Rossi would say, the Pac-Man scenario, Sure, if your system is closed, you cannot put out more, due to the first law of thermodynamics, you cannot get more energy out than you put in. But if you open your system up, you're not really generating free energy. What you're doing is you're borrowing energy from the outside. That's how a perpetual motion machine can work. That's, I think, how the, what is it, the Dreadco one? Jeremy, you should check this out. I'm curious how you think this is working. It's not batteries, I'll tell you that much right away. Why is this not the Dreadco perpetual motion machine? I'd be curious if you were to check this out, what you would think here. Only a couple people know how this works. And I think it's going to end up being a very simple answer.
But if you look
and I'm almost certain it's going to be around related to magnetism, right? Some people argue, oh no, he's cheating with a battery or something. That's not going to be what it is. These are magnets, and he's got it set to some kind of vibrational or some kind of resonant frequency or something related to these magnets here, and that's keeping it going forever. Oh, okay, I got the wrong one. Second law. Got it. Yeah, and you're right. So, it's really a matter of how you phrase it, right? Is that everything comes at a cost, right? And even in a system where we have free energy, where we're taking it from the vacuum of space-time, there's still a cost there for sure, right? So, just to be really clear and accurate out there, I'm not saying that we can just create something out of nothing. What I'm saying is that we can borrow from the vacuum and from elsewhere. But even when you're borrowing from somewhere, right? So something's happening there.
And the theater wouldn't hear me. This object.
And that's why we might want to be careful around over Unity devices as well. If everybody's now using over Unity devices, are we going to have some kind of impact on space-time itself? I don't know. But it's a question we should be thinking about. Probably not at small scales, but what about at large scales, right? Anyway, let's look more at this TED Talk, Quantized Inertia by Mike McCullough.
So this is a horizon.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you, Jeremy. What you take from the vacuum, you must give back, right? It's like karma.
This is a light horizon.
It's like karma. It's got to come back somehow, right?
Ship example.
That's why we got to be very careful about over Unity devices, even if they are real, right?
These aren't ocean waves, like in the example. These are quantum waves, and we know these.
Somebody told me I should listen to him. So far, it's kind of boring.
In a complete vacuum, these waves exist.
Control inertia.
Pushing the object from the right-hand side, but then there are few of them on the left-hand side because only certain wavelengths can exist.
Were there some adult ads that showed up?
So the object is going to be pushed back against its acceleration, and this looks very much.
Oh, we're going to get demonetized anyway on this one. I don't care.
All acceleration.
Alien Scientist is Jeremy. Jeremy Reese. You guys should follow Alien Scientist if you haven't. We were going to look at the APAC, one of the APAC presentations as well, but I don't know if we're going to get to it. Yeah, welcome Enchanted Nightbird. This is our science stream. I'm trying to do at least a couple science streams per week. It's hard.
Cosmic edge. This is because there, stars are moving away from us faster than the speed of light, so we just can't see them. So there's another boundary to information.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to skip ahead here.
Because stars in the center of the galaxy are accelerating very rapidly, going around in circles very rapidly, but those at the edge are moving at a very slow curve. So they're accelerating slowly, so you would expect from this theory for inertial mass to drop and the centrifugal force to be less. So I've shown here the white arrow was dotted, so it's very long, but now it's shorter, so it balances.
Okay, we're going to keep going. So quantized inertia, I guess, would be the same idea that you have this inertia at the quantum level, which I think is similar to the idea that complexity increases more, more gravity.
Spinning very fast.
Or inertia, I guess, is the way to think of it.
10 to the 20 or something like
this is honestly very similar, I think, to what Roy D. Herbert would say.
But if you could do that, then the honor waves, the quantum waves that I was
Thanks,
talking
Anthony.
About, become very short.
Parrish, you need to tell me what to search for. I can't post links, it won't work.
Technology, with electromagnetic technology. So what you could then do is put a damper above this spinning object, shown here by the blue line, and damp the quantum waves above it. That means that the object will lift up.
Ooh, anti-gravity.
Quantum waves hitting it from below, and fewer hitting from above. So the great thing about this is that previously we've had to use rockets, or we've had to push off the ground to move things. This is a new way to move things without fuel.
Whoa.
Fuel is effective.
Guys, does this remind you of anything? You have a damper above it. You have it spinning on its axis here. And now what's going to happen? You're going to have thrust going upwards. Does that remind you guys of anything? Reminds me of something. You guys ready? I don't know. I'm not saying this is exactly what it is, but I think that the more we dig into this, the more we realize that the science of these orbs checks out, right? Look at these orbs. The more I look at these orbs, I go, these got to be real. Like, it just checks out with science. We got these orbs spinning on their axis here. We can see this heat signature consistent with some type of monopole. And they are ignoring gravity. I would have never thought we would have this kind of technology before I saw these videos in 2023. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Look at this non-radiating barrier right here. This is a huge orb field too. The field is orbiting. Look at this plane right here. So it's like the same size as the plane right here. So at least 30 feet across. Maybe close to 50 feet. Somewhere in there. 35 feet, something like that. Maybe. Yeah, pretty wild. And this, I think, similar to concept to aerogels. Aerogels is a little bit different. Aerogels are also really cool. I mean, there's several different ways I think that we can create.
This may have been already seen.
Several different ways where we can create a gravitational lift.
A British engineer called Roger Scheuer, and also NASA now, have shown that if you put microwaves into a metal cavity that looks like this, it's a truncated cone, the cavity moves very slightly towards its narrow end.
Ah, so he's talking about EM drive right here, Jeremy. He's talking about EM drive. Guys, it's getting scary, guys. Oh, there it is right there. It says EM drive right at the bottom. It's getting scary that I'm starting to recognize this just from the science he's talking about, guys. So he's saying that if you throw microwaves in a narrow cavity, then there's going to be a propulsion effect.
A metal cavity that looks like this. It's a truncated cone. The cavity moves very slightly towards its narrow end.
Cavity moves towards the narrow end.
And this, in terms of normal physics, is impossible.
It's supposed to be impossible.
Like trying to speed up a car by pushing it from inside. You can't do it because of the conservation of momentum. But it seems to move anyway. The force is very small. It's about the thrust of a leaf.
NASA actually tested this, and I think they found a very small thrust as well.
And quantized inertia predicts this force.
Quantized inertia predicts that?
Quantized inertia is the name of the theory I'm proposing.
Makes sense.
Okay. So
yeah, so we just don't understand science as well as we think we do. Like we have a very good understanding of science, but it's slightly flawed, right? And that's why we can do stuff where it seems like it's breaking science. It's not really breaking science. It's just kind of like it's like bending the rules but not breaking them, right? Which is a fun analogy because it's curvature.
Galaxy rotation without dark matter, and it predicts a horizon drive. Now the following schematic looks very easy. Actually demonstrating this in the lab is going to be extremely difficult.
Okay. How can these possibly be piloted? My belief, they're being remote controlled. There's nobody in there piloting them. Those orbs are being remote controlled, 100%. The only question is there some type of machine device on the inside, or is it being controlled by like some type of magnetic radar system from another plane or whatever else, right? Or is it just a matter of it being like locking in onto the plane itself or something on the plane? Could be any of those options. The reason why I think that there is a device inside is because of the lines we see in front of the orbs here. These lines we're seeing in front of the orbs here, to me, says there's got to be something on the inside. Otherwise, I don't think we'd be able to see these lines like this where they're breaking through gravity because we see it in front of them. To me, that's the dead giveaway. But that's just my opinion. Let's see. What was that? Somebody else wanted me to look for something real quick. Parrish, Matt Finn, Seeking Circuits in the Cosmos. I like how people have us look stuff up and we take a look at it and see. We'll come to that one in a second. We're going to look at like one more minute of this maybe.
And it's not quite known how to damp quantum waves yet, but conductive materials seem to do the trick.
Conductive materials seem to do the trick. Guys, we keep coming back to superconductivity. Every time it comes back to superconductivity. That is the answer. That is like the letter told us. It's not that superconductivity is what makes the floating happen. It's that you enable superconductivity and then that enables the floating to happen, right?
But if we can do it, then we should be able to launch a capsule without...
God. We've had this for 10 years at least. We've probably had it for decades. It's wild. Yeah, I'm going to look. I've got the video up on the side, Parrish.
So it should rise up like that. Thank you very much.
Honestly, a lot of this stuff isn't even really new, right? What's happening here is you've got smart people like him, like, what was this, a year ago? 5 years ago, right? And people have been, I mean, this has just been out there, right? And we are just, it's just hidden in plain sight. And there's people that's known as well. He was probably not even the first person. He's just, lots of people have been putting it together. And even the people, the alien scientists that Jeremy's had on APEC that are out there that have been showing anti-gravity technology, right? A lot of the stuff they're doing is they're reinventing the wheel again. This is the reality. It's like the government's already knowing how to do it. We're just doing it again. Some of them might just be in the know. Because what I found out is that the way the technology gets out is that there's two ways, right? One is that the people who are in the know, they know how it works, but they can't talk about it because they have NDAs, but they're allowed to leak certain components to it. So one of the posts that I'm going to make, maybe tomorrow, is that how things are classified and how it's hidden. Is that all the components of what we need are out there in the public sphere, but when you put them together, that's what makes them classified. That's what makes them national defense, right? And so you have people that are profiting off of it because they know this stuff's real and they're patenting certain aspects, but not the whole pie, not the whole thing. And then you have the other approach is what's happening is that you have people that figure it all out on their own without even seeing the stuff. And this is going to sound a little egotistical, but that's what I've been doing, right? I'm watching the thing. I'm watching a video and I'm going, that's superconductivity. That's how they're able to make it float. And I'm able to do that with no scientific background, right? Just because I've been able to piece together all this information from UFOlogy, from like LK99, the things that are, the satellite stuff, like that's the thing they're afraid of. Those are the people that threaten the orthodoxy of the scientific and military industrial complex. And Jeremy, I'd say, is probably one as well. I don't think he has an NDA, and he understands that, a lot of this technology is possible because of the people he's been talking to and the scientists he's been talking to, right? And the scary part is we don't want to get disappeared, right? Because those are the people that the government needs to go talk to, and they got to scoop them up before they reveal all the information, they reveal all the secrets. And this is why it's so important that they hide videos like the MH370 videos, right? Because the moment those leak out there, now a bunch of people who are smart are going to look at it and going, oh, I can figure this out, right? And they can go around and they can find all the papers and stuff. And the thing is, like Jeremy's saying right now, the physics gets published in the journals regardless of classification. The thing is, there's so few people read those. Like my posts on Twitter, the ones that get the lowest amount of engagement are my scientific ones. It's kind of sad. It's really sad because that's the stuff that's like the building blocks of what we need to know in order to get there. Everybody just wants to see the cool looking videos, right? No one really wants to dig into the science. And that's why it's easy to hide it because no one's looking at the scientific stuff. That's why it's so important what Jeremy is doing with alien scientists is going through the papers, really digging into them, putting the puzzle pieces together. That's why when I look at them too, I like it. That's why when we look at Salvatore Pais' patents, like Salvatore Pais' patents 100% have been watered down, right? Super watered down. They've definitely been watered down, guys. And we can tell that just by reading them, but we can also tell that obviously he's seen something, right? You don't write those patents without having seen something, man. Big Butter, dude, just go back to CNN, bro. If this upsets you, if reality hurts your feelings, don't worry about it. No, I don't think the government's going to kill me, not anytime soon, because I'm too high profile, and it would be to the point where like it would expose the conspiracy. Instead, what they're going to do is what they have been doing. They're going to come up with fake debunks. They're going to push social media, right? They're going to use their influencers in social media, the people that are in Mick West's sphere. Mick West's sphere 100% is linked to the disinformation. Even if he's not directly, people in his direct sphere of influence are linked to government disinformation. There's no doubt about it. We were just watching right before this, I was watching a whole YouTube video about how they're editing people's Wikipedia pages, right? That's how they discredit people. They force people to retract papers. People like me, they try to discredit me by whatever they can do. They call me a grifter even though I make no money off of this, right? Whatever else they got to come up with. And that's the reason why I chose to be this person who's revealing the videos, right? Is that since I have a security clearance, it makes it really hard to do that. Then they can try to say, oh, well, he's working for the government, right? But it doesn't make any sense either to normal people, because normal people are like, well, if he works for the government, why is all his stuff talking about how the government's hiding all this from us? It doesn't really add up, right? So, yeah. And then let me think, what else? Oh, yeah. And so what they do is they fabricate fake debunks, right? Like the Mick West VFX debunk that doesn't match, right? And it goes to show how dumb, sorry, that's just how it is, or like you want to call them sheep or whatever, how asleep most people are, is that most people fall for the dumbest stuff. They don't even, like, just like the Ash conformity experiments, like you could do the Ash conformity experiments on this and it would work, right? If you were to show people this and you were to have 4 people say, yes, this is a perfect match, the 5th person is going to go, yeah, it's a perfect match, right? Even though they're looking at it, they can tell it's clearly not a perfect match. I mean, any rational person can look at this and go, this is not a match. You don't even see the plane sticking out in this. And they go, oh, well, you just Photoshop that in. And instead of even answering the question logically, they simply say, oh, well, you don't know how VFX works. Like, watch me break down Big Butter here. It takes like 5 seconds. Satellites move thousands of miles an hour. How does it keep the same perspective of the plane? Here you go. You ready for this? Because you're not looking through a satellite, Big Butter. Why? It's 2024. Do you really think that you're looking through a satellite that's moving 16,000 miles an hour? How did that even work? How would a satellite in low Earth orbit moving 16,000 miles an hour, how would you look through that ever and see anything? What do you think the point of the satellite is? Right? Here's your answer. I'm going to answer it for you right now. Look in the bottom left corner of this page. If we were looking at a satellite that was moving at 16,000 miles per hour, the coordinates would be moving in real time. The coordinates don't move in real time. The coordinates only move when they change the perspective. This tells us exactly what we're looking at. All you have to do is use deductive reasoning here, right? All you have to do is use deductive reasoning here. Is that we know we're looking at a computer program that is pulling data from a satellite. And we know that because we can see coordinates accurate to 6 decimal places, which is consistent with Google Earth. And we know that the coordinates are not moving in real time. It wouldn't matter, even if it was in geostationary orbit, it's still slightly moving. And because it's the 6 decimal places, you would see it slightly moving around. Those coordinates would be shifting around in real time all the time. They wouldn't be stationary and then changing, right? This is how we know it's not somebody actually pointing the satellite around. That never made sense anyway. It's not somebody sitting around here pointing a satellite around. It's a literal computer program that's pulling the data from all the satellites in real time and building a video Google Earth playback. That's what this is. That's what they use. We've been able to deduce that. And it makes total sense. That's how you would track an airplane. That's how you would look through satellites in 2024 or even in 2014. You're not going to be looking through a specific satellite. That's stupid. Have a good night, William. So, it's obviously an altered version. Dude, that's not how VFX works, man. Like, these people that talk about, like, it's obviously an altered version. No. Starship Troopers didn't edit the VFX. They literally put in the whole VFX without it being modified. Because that's how VFX actually works. There's no, it's obviously an altered version. That's just straight up conspiracy speculation. There's no way anyone could even change this to look like this in the background. That's not even possible. You'd be better off just starting from scratch. You'd have to change every single pixel. Look at this. Look at this. Because you pick and choose the one frame that's similar. Look at the other frames. It's not even close to similar. Literally no pixels match. No pixels even match on this. None of them are even the same color. You'd have to literally just start over from scratch here. Like, that's how easy it is to break down the disinformation that people that believe we're looking at VFX is. Doesn't even make any logical sense whatsoever. They're not using logic or reason. You're just going, oh, well, this one frame looks similar, so therefore it must be that. They must have just changed all this. So you tell me how long it would take you, without looking at the MH370 video, to take the Pyromania VFX and get it to exactly match this, without looking at it, without being able to compare it. Because you're telling me that what they did was they obviously manipulated what we're looking at here in the middle to match what we see in the video. How'd they do that without having something to compare to? This is literally the equivalent of giving a monkey a typewriter and waiting for them to produce Shakespeare for you. That's literally what it is. And people go, well, that's a dumb analogy because there's stupid people who don't understand it. It's really not a matter of me not understanding. It's a matter of them not understanding something very basic, right? So I think I just explained it to you, Big Butter, man. So I hope you get the help you need, man, because reality is going to be a harsh mistress when you find out you've been getting lied to your whole life. And when you find out that you were wrong about this, which objectively you are, and there's a lot of people out there like Big Butter, right? That, you know, they just believe whatever Reddit tells them. They believe whatever their favorite streamer says. They don't use any logic or reason. They don't think for anything through their arguments whatsoever. They don't even look at the second frame. They just look at the first one here. Even if you were to take, it would take hours, and even then, it'd probably take days to accidentally get it to match this background, right? And why would you even change the edge here? Why would you even change this? Why would you manipulate that? It makes no sense, right? All of them do look the same, man. That's the funny part.
Taylor set off blast waves are commonly found in strong explosions.
Here's the funny part. They all look the same. We can literally do this with anything that's a dispersion pattern, and we can get them to match exactly the same way that the pyromania did. Look at that. Perfect match. Look at this. Exact same thing. That's how easy it is to get them to match if you cherry pick. Here's another one. Watch this. You ready? Boom. Another perfect match. It's just like, it's so silly, guys. Look, another perfect match. That's 3 different effects that we've been able to match up to the blast wave. 3 different ones, guys. So, okay, let's see if we can show this real quick. Somebody wanted us to show the Matt Flynn circuits in the cosmos.
Couldn't exist in space.
We have to debunk the debunkers like every day. Yeah. And I'm not trying to tell you guys you got to believe in teleportation or whatever else, man. I'm just telling you the United States government knows what happened to this plane, man. I personally happen to believe that teleportation is real because of what I'm seeing in these videos. But, you know, I don't care if you believe it or not. It doesn't matter. I think there's a percentage chance it could be cloaking. There's a percentage chance that it could be annihilation event. I don't really know. It'd be a lot easier, honestly, if it wasn't teleportation.
When those
It'd be a lot easier to
their
convince
path
people.
has to be a closed circuit. And if a closed circuit exists, the description of the particle's state at any point depends not only on the local conditions, but also on what's happening in the rest of the circuit. For example, if a double layer forms and explodes, all the energy of the circuit will be released from it in an amount that can be vastly greater than the energy of the double layer itself. Double layers are capacitor-like formations in plasma.
It's a bit long. I don't know if we're going to be able... Okay.
The solar wind.
That's what I want to see.
Getting power from some source of...
Yeah, so this is where the auroras, right? So what's happening here is you imagine your electromagnetic, your magnetic field around the Earth. And so the solar wind is blasting it, and it's following the electromagnetic field, the barrier around our Earth, and then it's focusing here and creating these auroras that we see. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, no, invisibility is definitely real, dude. I mean, metamaterials, we've already have like invisible blankets and all this stuff that's out there, right?
Energy.
And for the record, guys, like, the reason why I don't get upset is because I realize that, and I think a lot of people will agree with this, that most people out there that are asleep, right? The Ash conformity experiment shows us that most people simply go along with the herd no matter what. Even, they'll just deny objective reality in their face. Ash conformity experiment proves it. People will just deny objective reality just to agree with other people. So we have to be somewhat patient with people. Now, it doesn't mean we have to be patient with the people who are being rude to us, but it does mean we're going to have to explain the stuff over and over and over again, probably. And that's fine. You know, it is what it is. And what we'll do is we'll slowly wake people up. You know, that's just how it'll play out.
But laboring under the idea of an...
So there you go. This is pretty interesting. This is how you can see the magnetosphere right here. And then how you can see the solar wind and how it's going to, you know, basically bounce off or like bend around the magnetic field. And then that's why it's going to be kind of creating these auroras right here. Pretty interesting. I don't know if we're going to watch this whole thing. Oh, here we go.
Isolated electrically neutral
I saw
model
something
of cosmology. Early scientists looked at these electric currents and instead named them the solar wind, despite there being no wind in space. And then they left the question of where's the power coming from out of their equations. So while astrophysicists who are clueless about electric currents in the atmosphere may not know about double layers, let me tell you, not only do they exist, the electrical effects of a double layer can be incredible. They store and discharge energy and radiate noisily over broad...
What does that look like, guys? Holy smokes. That's the Alcaberry drive right there. We're staring at it. There it is. That's your Alcaberry drive.
Frequency.
Wow. What was this?
Charge energy and radiate noisily over broad bands of frequency.
Wow.
They accelerate charged particles and divide plasma into cells of like properties, often separating small variations into categories like temperature, density, or chemical composition. There's that amazing self-organizing property of plasma I mentioned before. When electrically ignorant astrophysicists observe these effects, they come up with all kinds of crazy mechanical explanations to dance around what clearly looks like electrical phenomena to me. Everything from black holes, magnetic reconnection, neutron stars, frozen in magnetic field lines, and shock waves, and on and on. But up in our atmosphere, where we see these energetic effects like the aurora in action, one might ask, where's the power source? Well, the power could be generated locally. The rotation inertia of a body could drive the circuit in much the same way a water-driven turbine in a dam's generator works. And it's true early plasma physicists figured that was how it worked. But now we're in space, and everywhere we look, we see smaller scale circuits in space coupling up to larger scale circuits. Just like how our aurora...
Yeah, Electric Universe is 100% online with Electric Universe, guys. 100%. Yeah, I was reading about Royal Rife earlier today, actually. Where was I reading that? I think I saw a link on Reddit, I think. Definitely Electric Universe seems to explain everything, folks. We might have to dig into Casimir effect. Oh, yeah, so one other thing I wanted to say is that, so people may wonder, they may go, Ashton, well, you're into UFO stuff, right? So why are you not talking about aliens being real, and why do you not care about UAPs? The answer is I do care about them, I guess, but I care that the science and the technology will automatically reveal that stuff. The moment we find out we live in an electric universe and that we can teleport an object, and I don't even really like the term teleportation. I just like the idea that we can move fast as the speed of light or faster than the speed of light. If we use electricity the right way, I 100% believe that we can do that. The moment you do that, everybody's going to believe in aliens. Why? Because the reason why a lot of people don't believe them from the logical perspective is they can't get here. It's too far away, right? It's too far away, even in our own galaxy. The moment you take away that limitation and people come to terms with the fact that life is everywhere, now you go, okay, well, obviously they should be visiting us, right? Like, we can't be the only life in the universe. So that's why I'm not worried about that in general. And like I've said many times over, aliens aren't going to change my life. What will change my life is superconductivity, room temperature superconductivity, the ability to remove our reliance on fossil fuels, the ability to not have to get on an airplane ever again, which the moment I can do that, that'll be wonderful. So that's the kind of stuff. So that's the reason why I go for that. And I think that's why Jeremy and I are aligned, right? Is that Jeremy's out there trying to prove the science, and he's doing it with way more scientific background from me than I am. I'm just trying to catch up slowly, right? So, yeah. Yeah, assume a traversable cosmos. That's a really good way to put it. I like how he puts it there.
It is connected to the solar wind, or the sun circuit, more accurately. For proponents of
And the last thing I want to say on this front, because we're going to log off here in a few minutes, is that why is this all important as well? Is that we're building the building blocks for understanding how all this stuff is possible. It's one thing to just say, hey, aliens are real. It's another thing to say, hey, I can explain not only that aliens are real, but why and how they're visiting us, right? That's why it's important that we learn and understand this stuff. Because then it's not a matter of belief anymore. It's simply a matter of here's logical deduction. We've already deduced that this science is possible. Therefore, we've deduced that we can make an object like a craft turn invisible, go fast as the speed of light, and get here from the Andromeda Galaxy even. Maybe Bijou, maybe Ambassador Bijou is going to be visiting us from Andromeda Galaxy. Who knows, man? Who knows?
An electrical theory of space, this leads to an undeniable truth. We are externally powered. And that power is delivered by vast, sometimes intergalactic circuitry that can travel across light years, while keeping its narrow, braided structure intact. The fact is, there's just one known method for confining gas in a vacuum. One known explanation for tight jets that span light years. The magnetic field, the natural byproduct of electric current. We know from hundreds of years of plasma research that an electric current in plasma will generate its own magnetic field and self-constrict the current channel. This is known as the Bennett pinch effect. It produces filaments or threads of current that keep their shape over vast distances. Multiple filaments tend to spiral around each other, forming helical power cables that can transmit electric power across the cosmos.
Wow.
But this isn't just some stellar effect. It happens here too. These cables have been identified running from equators to poles in the same circuits that power the aurora.
I'm going to post this in the chat.
Plasma cosmologists also identify them in the filaments that extend from active radio galaxies.
This is a good find, guys.
Radio lobes, which are just double layers, far above each pole of such galaxies.
Look at that. Oh, wait, where did that go? Where did that go?
Which are just
jets and lobes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how you can keep this secret when you just have to look in the sky, right? And you can just see clearly we're dealing with electricity and magnetism everywhere, right? Let me see if there's any other parts of this we want to look at. Let's skip ahead a little bit. You guys can watch this on your own as well. Yeah, now you can see this would be, I guess, so this is the magnetism right here. The current.
Access to large distances. And these distant regions are likely locations of energetic double layers, which show up as radio and X-ray lobes in certain active galaxies. The currents then spread out and flow circumferentially around the equatorial plane. They return to the galactic core along spiral arms, pulling in matter and pinching it into stars as they go. Every element in these galactic circuits radiates energy, and that hints at further couplings with even larger circuits. We get a hint at this with the observation that galaxies occur along strings. This is why the late great Halton Arp's observations of physical plasma bridges was so invaluable. These bridges connect thousands of highly redshifted galaxies to lower redshifted ones.
Interesting.
For those familiar with Arp's groundbreaking work, this is a bull in the china shop to the expanding.
Yeah, scalar product, guys. Scalar physics is, I think, where the secret's at. When I learned in scalar physics that academia is just zeroing things out because they can't understand them and explain them, that's when I started getting red flags going off. I think I spoke about it on Investigate Earth podcast as well.
Universe and Big Bang Theory.
I think I'm going to close this particular one off here because we're getting to the end. Here's a sneak peek at my post for Reddit for tomorrow. Pretty long. Damn, I didn't realize it was this long. Probably going to edit it a little bit. We'll see. I'm going to put in the link in there as well. So here's our autopilot post for tomorrow as well. Got some stuff ready to go for tomorrow pretty much. Got to make some modifications to it. One last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is something a little spooky. Apophis. Apophis? Dun, dun, dun. So there is an asteroid that in 2029 is going to come extremely close to hitting us. So you guys know we've been talking about Sibers, right? Here's Apophis. 2029, this thing is going to basically intersect with us, guys. So I think Apophis, how do I make this bigger? How is this? Kind of want to snake. Can I pause this? So look in 2029 here, when these two things overlap, right here, boom, right there. You saw that? So I'm just going to remind you guys of something real quick. These satellites out here are geostationary satellites. Way out here, okay? Apophis, whatever. This asteroid is going to come closer to us than these satellites are out here. It's going to come within this outer ring here. That's how close it's going to be. It's going to come closer to us than any other asteroid ever has in the history of modern civilization. You You guys ready for that? Imagine if we're off by just a little bit. It's a 1,000 foot wide asteroid. Pretty wild, man. I was reading about this yesterday and I was going, wait a minute, this is really going to come that close? It's pretty scary, man. In fact, is this the one? I'm saving this. So this is a GIF? Yeah, it is. Yes. Scoop-de-doop. Yeah, that's, oh boy. That's scary, folks. Look at this, right? Wait, did I miss it? Yeah, no, I already missed it. I don't know. I'll have to figure out how to pause it. Oh, we'll definitely be able to see it. That's how close it's come. Have like we could land a rover on there if we want to. So anyway, guys, it's been a fun night. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. I'm gonna get some sleep. You have a good evening.